Greetings, Chiwe from Crystal Clear Academy. A quick biology lesson, and the lesson will be transport system in animals. Now, transport system in animals is divided into two. You have the blood circulatory system, or just the circulatory system, and the lymphatic system. Now, the blood circulatory system comprises of three things. Number one, blood itself, blood vessels, and the heart, the human heart. Now, you need to ask yourself why transport is very important in animals. So transport is very important in animals I'll give you 4 reasons why transport is very important in animals. Number one is to transport dissolved food substances from intestines to tissue cells. You know, when digestion takes place, the digestion, absorption of soluble foods into the bloodstream, then that dissolved food needs to be used up. Now, before the food is used up, it needs to be transported to where it is needed by tissue cells. So, number one, why transport system is important, or transport is important in animals. Number one, to transport dissolved food substances from intestines to tissue cells. Number two is to transport hormones from endocrine glands to target organs, or from ductless glands to target organs. Number three, is to transport oxygen from the lungs to tissue cells. We need oxygen. Our tissue cells need oxygen for them to survive. So when blood passes from the heart to the lungs, then it collects oxygen and then gets rid of carbon dioxide. That oxygen is needed now by tissue cells. Last but not the least, the fourth reason why transport is very important in animals, or in human beings to be specific, is to transport metabolic waste from tissue cells to excretory organs. Now that we have looked at the reasons why transport is very important, let's now look at one of the components of, not really components, but parts of transport system, or the circulatory system, blood. What is blood? Blood is simply defined as the transporting fluid that flows inside the blood vessels. Then blood is comprised of components. Now, let's group these into 2 components: solid components and liquid component. We have 3 solid components of blood and 1 liquid component of blood. Now, the 3 components of blood, solid components of blood, we have the red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. The liquid component of blood is no other than blood plasma. Let's look at each of these components in detail. Let's start with the red blood cells. Red blood cells are also known as erythrocytes. They are biconcave in shape. They don't have the nucleus. They contain a red pigment called hemoglobin. The function of red blood cells is to transport oxygen to all parts of the body. Like I said, that the shape is biconcave. The reason why the shape is biconcave is to increase the surface area for transportation of oxygen. to increase the surface area for transportation of oxygen. Now, somebody may ask, what is the lifespan or where are red blood cells produced? Red blood cells are manufactured in bone marrow of short bones. Bone marrow of short bones. Short bones, we have vertebrae, like bones of the spine or the backbone. Those are vertebral bones, short bones. The lifespan of red blood cells is 120 days, after which they are destroyed in the liver. They are destroyed in the liver. Quickly, let's look at the white blood cells. White blood cells are also known as leukocytes. Leukocytes, their function is just to defend the body against infection. Now, you have two types of white blood cells. Basically, two types of white blood cells. We have the lymphocytes and the phagocytes. Now, how do the two defend the body against or fight infection? The white blood cells or the lymphocytes, they have a round large nucleus, and they fight the body. They defend the body by producing antibodies, which neutralize the bacteria or foreign bodies. They just neutralize. Then we have the phagocytes. The phagocytes, on the other hand, they are interesting. They have a lobed nucleus, like an E or 3, like this. So they just defend the body by engulfing foreign bodies or bacteria. That's how they defend the body. They fight infection. They engulf. To engulf is to surround something and then close, and then the bacteria will be in the middle here or inside. Then it will be digested. That's how they defend the body. So the difference between lymphocytes and phagocytes is the function and the structure, how they appear. So these are specialized cells. They're specialized. Another solid component, we have platelets. Platelets are just the fragments of cells whose function is just to defend the body. It aids in blood clotting or in the clotting of blood. In an event of a damaged tissue or vessel or tissue, yes, the body responds by producing or releasing platelets to the damaged tissue. In return, platelets they activate or they produce a plasma protein called thromboplastin. These are now steps stages of blood clotting, or steps involved in blood clotting. Number 1, platelets. Secondly, these platelets, they produce thromboplastin or thrombokinase. 3, the thrombokinase or thromboplastin that is produced, they activate prothrombin to thrombin. So prothrombin is an inactive form of this plasma protein. So when it is active, it becomes thrombin. Now this thrombin, in turn, it converts the soluble fibrinogen to insoluble fibrin. It is this now fibrin which makes the mesh work of fibers and or a net. Then blood clot. Okay. All right. So why blood clotting is important? Number 1 is that it prevents excess loss of blood. It prevents excess loss of blood. Number 2, it prevents entry of germs or foreign bodies. Thirdly, blood clotting is important because the first step in the healing of a wound. So, eventually, blood hardens, forming a scab. After some time, the scab falls off, leaving behind a scar. That's now blood. That's the reasons why blood clotting is very important. Now, in the next video, we are going to look at the liquid component of blood and as well as bloody groups. So, remember to subscribe and to this channel. God bless you. See you in the next video.